What's going on, YouTube? This is Brian with Canvas the Town, coming at you with another hunting horn build, this time talking about the Sky Tremor Typhoon, Ibushi's hunting horn, and how it's actually a really good horn for fighting Risen Shigaru Magala, because he is weak to dragon. Now, this isn't the strongest dragon element, but what makes it so good for fighting him is the songs, and particularly where they're placed in terms of like the notes, so the color of the notes rather. So particularly the green notes, which is either overhead smash or melodic slap, is sonic barrier. So that allows you to set up just endless sonic barriers just again and again, just hitting the sonic melodic slap into chord and the double swing into the chord. On top of that, you can run all of the shenanigans that I showed in the other video talking about dragon sets in general for Title Update 5 and how you can incorporate Dragonheart now. Now, this is the Comforts version of the set. This set does not have Dereliction, because I know a lot of people don't like to run it. So this set is more comfy, and I have a Dereliction version that I will show you as well. But I wanted to start with the comfortable set. Now, we do still have Bloodlust set in, because you may as well. You also kind of don't need to, because you're fighting this, you're really using this set for fighting Risen Shigaru Magala. So ideally, you just want to have your dragon attack going, and Bloodlust, if you could slot it, you put it in, and if not, that's fine. You know, you're gonna get frenzied anyway. But you know, you need your dragon attack, Dragonheart level 5, combined with the Valstach Soul decoration, the level 2 decoration for dragon weapons, gives you 20% more dragon element whenever you have Dragon Blight like we have right now. And whenever our health is below 80%, we're gonna have that. And fighting Risen Shaggy, it's pretty easy to be below 80%. He blows you up like non-stop. So this is pretty easy even without Dereliction. And when you have Dereliction, even if you're even if you're kicking his butt and he like can't touch you, you'll still get it anyway if you have a point of Dereliction. You can't really slot more than 1 point of Dereliction with Heaven Sent. Now, the reason I'm going for Heaven Sent for this build in particular, and this horn works great with it, is Grinder S. So with Grinder S, once you get down to blue, you can switch your scroll from Heaven Sent once it's activated and get back to purple, and then you'll get a nice boost for 90 seconds to your elemental damage as well as to your raw damage. And this is like the only class of weapons in the entire game that can really take advantage of this skill. And luckily it is a dragon weapon, so you can also slot the Dragonheart, and you can slot your dragon conversion, right, and you get your strife. And those are the main damage skills. So we're looking at dragon attack, Dragonheart, both maxed out. Grinder, it really only needs to be level 2. Level 3 is great for the set, but we don't need it. And then we have Burst at level 3, which is big for damage. Dragon Conversion at level 3 is non-negotiable. You could ditch some Burst if you wanted to. You know, level 1, level 2 is still valuable. So if you wanted to get more quality of life skills, like on this set I have Wirebug Whisper level 2, Divine Blessing level 2. They should be level 3, right, if you're an adult. But I'm making bad decisions, and I have my offensive skills at level 3. If you disagree, you can go ahead and max out your defensive skills and not worry too much about having maybe level 1 burst or level 2 burst, because that skill is definitely the greediest among them, or Grinder 2. There's definitely, you don't need Grinder for this set. It's the only weapon that makes it work, so that's why I'm slotting it. And it is cool when it gets off. But to be honest with you, Heaven Sent is so good that you'll see in the footage that you're watching right now, it's hard to get to blue. You know, even with no handicraft or anything like that, we're just never ending up in blue, which is pretty funny, and is what it is. But when you do get it, it's a nice boost. And yeah, the real thing that's good about this set is you have Divine Protection, which stacks with Divine Blessing. So you can have that Divine Protection song up at all times to keep the team safe. And then you got Sonic Barrier, which is really good at preventing, roars, and if you get hit by an attack, it'll prevent knockback, all this crazy stuff that it does. But it's a very short song, so you want to spam it as much as possible. Now, Strife is there because whenever you get red health, you're going to get a 20% boost to your element. Or I believe it's 15 and then 20, but it's a huge boost to your element. Everything else is some stuff that we have for life, quality of life. Element exploit level 2 could be level 1. In fact, having element level 3 would be better. You know, like you could get rid of, like right now, if I just took this out, I could probably have a different skill. Or you could even take the Bloodlust Jewel out and you could max out a different skill that way. Like maybe you want to put here your level 3 for Divine Blessing or something like that, right? So these are definitely the choices you can make in the build. The talisman that I'm using, we'll go through the gear now, is just a Dragon Heart level 3 with a 3/3/1, which is great slots, and stun resistance level 2. I am slotting in the last point of stun resistance. I got a little dragon attack and a grinder in there. And we got the Tempest Hakama. I gave you that free slot there. This could be another offensive skill. This could be so that you can max out something like Divine Blessing. Okay, now we've slotted in our Divine Blessing level 3. All good. Yeah, we do have a lot of 4 slots here. And unfortunately, that means sometimes you have to run a 2 slot in your 4 slot. Don't feel bad about it. It is what it is, right? You want to max whatever skills you want to max. Now, also, if Grinder S, you find it's not proccing enough, you could go ahead and ditch that, get Wirebug Whisperer 3, get LE Exploit 3. You have a lot of choices. Now, let's talk specifically about the armor pieces. We got the Valstrax Helm, the standard Strife Augment, and some nice slot upgrades. And we're running our Dragon Spirit for another level of Dragon Heart, putting us at 4 with this piece, a little Burst, and an Intrepid Heart. Wirebug Jewel here on the Tempest Robe. We're running this with a level of Strife as an augment. And we got rid of that 1 level of crit boost, which doesn't really matter for the build because our elemental damage doesn't crit. So we're not that concerned about boosting the power of those crits when they're mostly just our raw hits. We are still primarily augmented here for element. We have a little bit of attack boost. You could run this the raw way, I guess. You could, instead of favoring the dragon, instead of having dragon conversion, you could just run this for the good raw damage and take the elemental that is built in as an added bonus on Shigaru Magala. But I do like maxing the element here. If someone wants to do the research and let me know in the comments what's better for this, maxing raw skills and running this with max raw, or maxing the elemental skills like I'm doing here and running it with max element, let me know. I think either way, it's never going to be DPS-wise the most optimal of all of the weapons, but it is a really good defensive one. And that's important too, right? It's not always just about which one outputs the most damage. This one outputs great damage, and it has Sonic Barrier that is spammable on the one of your best moves on the kit, and Divine Blessing, right? And we're of course going to get our attack up running our Bead of Resonance. That's still definitely the best thing you want to do if you're element. You don't really want to run Earthshaker or Sonic Bloom if your horn doesn't have attack up. If your horn has attack up, then you can, you have your choice of the 2 more offensive double Wirebug moves. But this horn doesn't have attack up, so you are definitely you're gonna lose a lot of damage not being able to play that every now and then. But we went off a little bit, but the set is pretty straightforward, right? It's 2 pieces of Valstrax, it's 3 pieces of the Tempest. I have a nice augment here of a Vade Extender Wind Mantle. This is kind of an optional augment. You don't need Wind Mantle in the set. But, we use Wirebugs enough that it's a nice augment to have, and we had that slot available. Now, in this version of the Dragonheart build, we're not worried about our elemental resistances, right? Because we're letting Dragonheart take care of that for us. If you had a God Talisman, you could consider doing that. I don't think it's worth it, though, because you're fighting Risen Shaggy, and your health can be below 80% for most of the fight. Is pretty reasonable. And if you have your Divine Blessing stacked, and if you're playing the Divine Blessing song, your survivability is pretty good. I wouldn't say you have to worry about that. I'll go over the augments one more time. The redirection is cute that I got along with Dragon Conversion, but you really just need Dragon Conversion on one of your pieces to get level 3. Strife on one of your pieces to get level 3. Nice augments, but again, it doesn't matter. The Adrenaline Rush and the slot upgrade. We don't need it, but it's cool. Yeah, so we got 2 levels of Strife in the augments. We got 1 level of Dragon Conversion. You have kind of a free one where you can put something like Wind Mantle or a skill that's already going to be in the set like a Vade Extender. Or if you're lucky enough, both like this. And Strife here. So that's actually, is that 3 augments of Strife? Yeah, it's 3 augments of Strife. Okay. So you have 3 augments of strife, 1 augment of dragon conversion. Those are pretty non-negotiable if you want to run the Tempest set and have your max elemental damage. And it's really only possible with the dragon set without a god talisman, because if you have a god talisman, you could run, you know, something like dragon conversion level 3 and furious level 2, and then you can augment for strife, and you can augment for, you know, like frostcraft or dragon heart or anything that you want, and have a pretty crazy set. But I think this is more realistic for those of you guys that aren't cheating in your talismans. You can get something like a Dragon Heart 3 with a skill that is good for the set. In this case, it was Stun Resistance 2 and some very nice slots. This is only a Rarity 9. Now, I'm going to show you guys the higher damage one, the one that has Dereliction now. This one was Ibushi, so we have Ibushi safe here. I'll update that, and then we have regular Ibushi. Now this one, my talisman is the main difference. I have Dragon Heart level 2, Dereliction level 1, 3 2 slots. This talisman is awesome, but it has Dereliction, right? And that's the only source of Dereliction, because unfortunately, Dereliction can't be rolled on your, you know, augments, and you also can't get any other pieces besides the legs and the arms for Dereliction. So if you want to have this really, really good skill, Heaven Sent, then you gotta get it on your talisman, and the highest you can get Dereliction on your talisman is 2. So you can never have level 3 and the Tempest stuff right now. I'm sure in Title Update 6 or 5.5 or whatever it'll be next month, we are going to have these skills accessible a little bit easier. You know, like maybe be able to get Dereliction as an augment, or get it, you know, on a new piece of gear or something. Who knows? But yeah. Pretty cool. That's the main difference. And as you can see, I'll go through the skills real quick. I have Divine Blessing as well on this set, because it's kind of non-negotiable to have Divine Blessing level 3, because you're gonna you want to get hit. You know, you want to be at lower health to have Dragon Heart active. So if you don't have damage negation, I mean, you're still gonna die with it. Let's be real. So yeah, sorry. We got Element Exploit, we got Burst, we got, you know, Element Exploit maxed out is probably the main extra damage here, and Dereliction, of course, is the main extra damage compared to the other one. And we're missing out on having Stun Resistance, which is kind of a problem, to be honest with you. It might be better to give up one of these 4 slots, like probably Grinder S. Grinder S is really, really cool when you can activate it. But I did about 5 or 6 hunts with this fighting Risen Shaggy, and it's like he just dies in like 8 to 10 minutes. Like, you're never gonna get to blue sharpness. It's crazy. It's because the augments are so buffed now. Because the augments are really, really good, and you can get plus 20 sharpness for free. That makes all the difference on this weapon that had just a sliver of purple, which was really perfect for the skill Grinder S. But with the buff, it's kind of not the best anymore. Now, if you were a crazy person and you didn't do the last augment like I thought about, then I guess you can get Grinder S off more in your hunt. So that's something that, if you have this, maybe don't upgrade it all the way, and let me know in the comments how that goes. If you just get, you know, every single slot except the last one, because the last one will give you an extra 10 points of sharpness, and that basically keeps you away from activating Grinder S. So if you want to play with Grinder S and get that extra boost on this specific Hunting Horn build, then yeah, I would say look into that. Look into not augmenting it all the way. But yeah, just for the sake of the video, I'm gonna give away this, because we kind of non-negotiably need to have stun resistance on this set. Because you're a Hunting Horn, you're fighting. This is specifically for one of the hardest mons in the game. If you don't have stun resistance, you're going to die a death. And it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be a nice time for anybody. Yeah, so yeah, guys, that's basically the build. You know, we're running all our quality of life stuff as we can here. With Intrepid Heart is probably the main thing, that if you're not running it in your sets yet, you should have it in every single one of your sets at level 1. Because it's just another free hit. It does stack with level 3 Heaven Sent, so Heaven Sent will still be active if you get hit, and if you have Intrepid Heart active. If you really want to get the most out of Grinder S, you could consider, yeah, because another thing you could do is you could keep Grinder S, and you could switch out the Dragon Spirit, one of the Dragon Spirits, and you'll have Dragon Heart level 4, which is still fine, because the majority of our damage comes from the Valstrax Soul Jewel 2 that you put onto the Sky Tremor Typhoon, because that's 20% extra Dragon Ellie attack. That's more important than the raw attack, although the raw attack boost is definitely nice. This thing has a lot better raw attack than most of the Hunting Horns in the game, especially the best Elemental Hunting Horn in the game, right? The Valstrax one. This one has much better raw. It has like 40 or 50 more raw. So it's nice to boost that, and you do end up, I'd say, getting some pretty equal damage. I'd say the Valstrax one is still slightly higher damage, but this one is better for a team. It's more of a support horn that can still do really, really good damage, as you guys have seen. Guys, let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the build. This one's a lot of fun to make. Hope you enjoyed watching and incorporates some Grinder S and the Sky Tremor Typhoon into a future Dragon set for the Hunting Horn. Alright guys, don't forget, if you enjoyed this video or have watched some other of my videos and enjoyed those, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. We're going to be giving away a Nintendo Switch. Once we get our first 1,000 subscribers, we've been getting a lot of growth over the last few weeks, which has been amazing. Thank you guys for your continued support. Peace out.